talk about a couple different topics: ordering integers, plotting integers on a number line, and fractional position on a number line. Now, the first off, ordering integers is pretty straightforward. They're going to be asking you to use either the less than sign, the greater than sign, or the equal sign. Now, before we get started, and I've heard some people have problems with this, I want to talk about the difference between these two signs. One of them is a less than sign, one of them is a greater than sign. We need to be able to tell which one is the less than sign, and we need to be able to tell which one is the greater than sign. Now, when we're doing this, just like in English class, we read things in math from left to right. Alright? So if I'm looking at this symbol here on the left, I'm going to look at it from left to right. So the side on the left and the side on the right. Which one is smaller? Well, the left one is. Excuse me. Okay, the left one has a smaller amount of space compared to the right side. So this one right here is a less than sign. Because of that. Well, if I employ that same type of thinking here, we have a sign, and it looks like it's bigger on the left than the right. So if it's bigger on the left than the right, then that would be a greater than sign. Alright, so that's the difference between the two. Now, what we have to do here is just fill in the gaps. Alright, use a less than sign, a greater than sign, or an equal to compare the following numbers. Well, which one's bigger? Is it 9 or 11? Well, definitely the 11. 0 or negative 3? Definitely the 0. And negative 12, negative 10? Definitely the negative 10. Alright, I'm going to flip over here to the next screen and let you try it. Give this video a pause if you haven't already. Alright. It looks like we have some of the same numbers, and that's okay. Looks like it's a negative 12 and a 10. Negative 10, hopefully. You put a less than sign, and you're able to show that and able to read that as a less than sign. 11 and 9, that would be a greater than sign. 3 and negative 3, well, we know that all positive numbers are bigger than negative numbers. Let's go ahead here. Let's work on plotting integers on a number line. Now, when we're looking at this, we can see that we have a couple different numbers. Alright, and so what you might see here is a number line. Right, we obviously know that 0, one of the most important numbers there because it divides the positive and the negatives. But we could just start counting them off, right? We could go to the positive 2. Alright, and what we're going to be looking at is just plotting them. So let's take a look at this first one here. Negative 9. Okay, negative 9 we have to think about, is it to the right or to the left of 0? Well, it's negative, so it has to be to the left. So negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7, negative 8, negative 9. The next one is a 7. Alright, thinking about it if it's positive or if it's negative should help us get a good start on it. 7 is positive, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then the negative 3 is the last one. Plot that right there. Notice, I have labeled them, and I'm going to go back and label the 7. Okay, that's something that you might want to do, especially when you have multiple numbers on one position line. I'm going to flip over to the next problem here, and you can see what 3 numbers there are. And I would encourage you, pause this video, okay? Draw the number line after you pause it, and see if you can plot the 3 points in the correct position. Maybe yours looks a little bit different, just because, you know, I'm drawing this freehand, and obviously you would be too. So take a moment, pause it, and give it a try. quickly here. Let's go through this. We have a 2. We're going to go to a negative 2. We have a negative 4, and there's 1, 2, 3, and that's a negative 4. Come back up here and label the 2. Then we have the negative 11. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, negative 11 right there. All right, one last topic. And it employs the topic here of fractional position. Now, let's think about how we could view this here. We're going to use this number line, but I want to just draw something here to kind of explain a thought process in which I'm going to employ to find this. Okay? So let's say I have not fractions just yet, but let's say I have these two numbers, 1 and 2. Right? And we have some space in the middle. We know in between there are going to be some decimals and fractions. Now, on this number line, you can see how it's divided, right? It's divided into some tick marks. Well, let's just say hypothetically on this one is also divided into tick marks. And I want to know, how did I divide this? To divide it into how many equal pieces? All right, so let's explore this type of thinking here, because what this is going to do is when you write a fraction, this is going to give you the bottom number, this type of thinking that we're going to explore here. All right, so what I want to do is I just want to count the spaces in between. All right, so there's 1, there's a 2, there's 3, and there's 4. So this line between the whole numbers has been divided into 4 equal pieces. All right, and so that bottom number would be a 4. All right, now if I had a point somewhere on there, that's where I can get the numerator. All right, and so let's talk about that as we explore this actual problem here. All right, so I'm going to be writing um, this fraction. Now, it does say write your answer as a fraction or a mixed number. So what that means is you can write it two different ways. You can write it as an improper fraction, or you could write it as a mixed number. All right, so let's explore how to find that denominator again. All right, so I'm right here between 2 and 3, and I want to count how many equal spaces there are. So it looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So since there are, since the fraction bars there have divided it up into 5 equal pieces, that's going to be my denominator there. Now I want to look at the position. There's a couple different ways, and this all depends if you are going to do this with a mixed number or as in regular fraction. All right, an improper fraction. Excuse me. So either way, what we have to do is we have to find where this blue dot is. All right. So if we're going to use the mixed number, we're going to look at between what two numbers this is, this point. Well, it's between 2 and 3, so therefore, this one right here has a big 2, and let's find out where the E is. Is it on the first one? No. Is it on the second one, the third, the fourth, or the fifth? Well, it has to be on the fourth. Okay? It's on the fourth tick mark from 2. So this would be the mixed number. Now, if I was just going to write it as a fraction, okay, I know that my denominator does not change. Okay, it's still divided into 5 equal parts, but the numerator is going to be found just a little bit different way. Okay, if you're just going to use the picture, then you can, just count the individual tick marks, right? Now, we know it's divided into 5 equal parts, and since we're starting right here at 2, okay, from 0 to 2, that's 10 marks. 11, 12, 13, 14. So 14 over 5 or 2 and 4/5. Either one would come up with the right answer. All right, let's switch the screen over here, and let's see what you have. Give this a try, and see if you can write it as both. I know it asks you to do one or the other, but give it a try. Write both, even if you find one and you just want to convert it to the other. All right? Pause this video, and we'll see you in a little bit. All right, well, let's first off figure out what the denominator is. That's been the first thing that we've done each time. And remember, we're just counting the individual tick marks, right? So there's one space, there's two spaces, there's three, there's four, there's five, six, and seven. So this has been divided into 7 equal spaces. Now, you can see I didn't count where the blue dot was, and that's fine. Maybe you want to make sure that you did just to verify that this is where the number is divided. But let's take a look at it. We can try the mixed number first. We can see it's between 1 and 2, so we know the big number is going to be 1. It's on the first tick mark. If I was doing the improper fraction, I could count. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That makes sense. 8, because it's 1 past the whole number. All right, so 8 sevenths or 1 and 1 seventh.